Good morning, YouTube. This is Eric at African Homestead. Just finishing up my coffee here. It's not Starbucks, but it's not bad. It's really tough to get good coffee in Liberia, but it's getting better. And so, when we first came here in 2011, the only coffee you could really get was Nescafe, the instant coffee, and now you're actually able to get some coffee. We actually grow Robusta beans in Liberia, but it's not a great quality bean like the Arabica. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. Maybe the subject of a future video. But today we're going to start planting. We're going to start our garden. So what we have here is the dry season garden. It's all prepped, and just to give you an idea of what we did to prep it is about 2 months ago we actually planted the whole garden with peanuts. And so you can see there's actually some of the peanuts we turned under actually survived, and they're trying to come back. But we ended up using them because peanuts are a legume. We're able to use those to fix the nitrogen in the soil, and also turned it under as a green manure. In addition to planting the peanuts to boost the nitrogen and turn it into to green manure, we also amended the soil with some hydrated lime. Whitewash is actually very commonly available and cheap here in Liberia, and so we were able to buy, I think it was a 20 or 25 pound bag of hydrated lime, and mix that in to bring the soil pH up. When we tested it at the beginning of the rainy season, our pH was around 5, and so that's pretty acidic. A lot of places here in Liberia it will be even lower, maybe as low as 4.6, 4.7, but ours checked right at 5. One item I decided to invest in is a soil test kit. And this has been really helpful to us in just seeing where our soil's at. You can see it comes with all the supplies. It's a simple kit, and it does the job. I mean, it gives us basically where we stand. It's not highly scientific, but as we tested the pH, as I said, we came in right here about a 5, and it's pretty acid. And interestingly, when I tested the soil, the nitrogen came in totally depleted. In fact, it wasn't even slightly pink, it was totally clear. So there's absolutely no nitrogen in this soil. The phosphorus came in even a lighter green than that. And the potassium had it was completely clear. So this soil, what I'm starting with is it's gonna be a good test for using composting and using green manure, supplementing with organic materials to boost the soil and improve the soil. And so we're starting off with soil that is very acidic and completely depleted of all nutrients. Some of the plants going in the garden, we started on this nursery here that I showed you in a previous video, and we planted some more of the Liberian hot peppers, the Liberian chili peppers, and we are going to use all of those we produce, either because we cook every day with the Liberian hot peppers, and any excess we're going to have, I might use those when I'm pickling cucumbers, just to add a little boost. I might use them when I'm pickling the sweet peppers, again just to add a nice kick to it, and I might dry them, but there's a variety of ways we'll use them. They won't go to waste. And as you can see, our sweet peppers are growing up, and our tomatoes are really taking off. And so all this is just in 100% compost. And as you can see, we have a pretty good mix here that has a lot of carbon left in it, but it's in good shape. This year, most of the seeds that I purchased I got from Southern Exposure Seed Exchange, and I've heard great things about this seed company. And looking forward, everything that I've planted so far in the nursery has germinated very well. And so I'm getting ready today. I think we're going to start off with planting these two types of cucumbers. One is a slicing cucumber and the other is for pickling. And so yeah, I tell you what, you cannot get good pickles in Liberia. So I'm really stoked about the fact that we're going to grow our own cucumbers. We're going to do our own canning. If the dill comes up, we're going to have our own dill to make the dill pickles, but we'll make bread and butter, and we'll make just a variety of different things when these cucumbers take off. So this is where we're going to put the cucumbers in. Trellis I built a few weeks ago. All just kind of recycled materials or unused materials. I had some old 2x2s from a previous project that I set in the ground, and then I have the chain link fence. The fence here is unreasonably tall. They actually sell it at 7 feet tall instead of, more commonly in the States you'll find 4-foot and 6-foot fence. Here they sell it, I think, at 3 feet and 7 feet, and so that's just what we went with. And so we have a 7-foot trellis. On one side I'll be planting the slicing cukes, and on the other side we'll be planting the ones we'll use for pickling. And now we've come to the area that I'm most excited about, and that's the compost. This is the first year I feel like I've really been, I'm just prepared for the garden. And so we've had a little bit of rain recently, even though we're officially in the dry season, but we have this beautiful, beautiful compost. I mean, there's even leftover stick in here, but this stuff, as I dig through it, is just so beautiful and rich, and it's just fantastic, fantastic compost. And as I dig into it, it's just full of worms, it's full of other good material. And like I said, the main ingredients in this batch of compost, I had about 20% pig manure, goat manure, rabbit manure kind of mixed together. And then for my carbons, I used wood shavings from a local shop that I got for free, and leaves for my yard, dried leaves for my yard that I got for free. And for the nitrogen, we have kitchen scraps, just everything that is compostable that we produce in the kitchen. And then also we put in seaweed that we collected from the beach for free, and banana stalks from the banana plants, got those for free. And so this is beautiful, beautiful compost, and it was completely free. Okay, so I got the soil mixed in here and have the seeds already. Just from the research I've done, I've grown cucumbers in the past, but honestly, it's been years ago, a lot earlier in my marriage. But we're gonna put these in about, roughly a foot apart, and then once they take off, then we'll widen that up to about an 18-inch spacing, let them take off, have plenty of room to grow. Yeah, there's a worm, a couple of them. So I got a little bit deeper and starting to get into the worms. Got another one over here, so it's good to see them. One other thing that I didn't mention when we're building the compost is that as you see, we have lots of trees here, and because we don't have we don't have cold season, we just have your rainy season and your dry season. These trees just gradually drop leaves 12 months out of the year. And actually, when we get into the dry season, they're going to drop a lot of new leaves and put out new buds. That's what pushes the old leaves off, as the new buds are coming in. And so we have a lot of leaves, and so we can't compost all of them. At least I don't have the capacity to do that yet. And so we do end up burning some and then adding that ash to the compost. And so that's one thing I did mention. And then the other part is our primary fuel for cooking here is biochar. And so we have this basically homemade charcoal that we use, that the people in the interior, they do kind of a slash and burn type of agriculture. Well, they'll cut down anywhere 5, I've even seen as much as 80 acres. They just chop down all the trees except for the palm trees and burn it to kill all the weeds, to kill all the vegetation. And of course that also kills a lot of good stuff, beneficial bacteria. It destroys a lot of the nutrients in the soil, and so it's not all good, but the farmers find that's kind of the easiest way to handle it. And then they farm that piece of ground for anywhere from 1 to 2 years, and then they walk away, let it grow up into bush again, and they go to the next section and burn down, slash and burn all of that, and make their next farm. And so when they do cut those down, one of the products that comes from it is they'll take all the tree limbs and make biochar and then sell that. And so you can get a bag here that stands, oh, it's probably about 16 inches in diameter, stands about 3 feet tall, and you can buy it for, if I'm in the interior, I can get it for about $1.50, $1.50 US. If I buy it in the city, it could cost as high as $5, but I have people I buy from, so I never have to pay that much. But anyway, so at the bottom of the bag, there's a lot of this biochar dust and small pieces that you can't use for cooking. So we also add that into the compost pile. If you're planning on keeping seeds, as they point out here, you need to isolate the cucumbers by at least 1/8 of a mile. So that's about almost 750 feet. Now, as you can see, I'm not quite 750 feet away, and so I won't be able to save any of these seeds. But I bought enough, because this is a small planting, that I probably have enough to plant 3 more plantings this size with the seeds that came in this pack. And so when I get up to where we're going to be homesteading up in the interior, I have about 25 acres there. And so some of these things like the papaya that cross-pollinate, and even like I want to try to isolate some mango and have those also cross-pollinate. And so with all of those things, I might end up planting 2 completely separate gardens. And I know, at least for orchards, for the various types of fruit trees, I want to keep those varieties separated by a good distance so we don't have problems with those cross-pollinating. Okay, so that's it. Got the cucumbers in, and just getting everything watered in really nice. I'll be watering these every morning as they get started, because since we are in the dry season now, we can still get some rains. We got a quick thunderstorm last night, but it didn't even drop 1/10 of an inch, so it's not too reliable. But we'll be getting rain on and off until the first week of December. But it just, as each week passes, it gets to be less and less, and so we'll be doing more and more watering. You know, right now I'm using what they call pipe water. It's basically municipal water from the city, from the government, and you know, it's supposed to be drinkable, but it's not. And when I run it through our water filter, after a few days or maybe a week, it clogs the filter up. It's not clean water. It's full of this red silt, and because they have it's an old system, so they have a lot of breaks in the pipes that suck up the dirt from the ground, and so it's not good water. It's chlorinated, and who knows what chemicals are in it, so it's not good for the garden. But as we get moved and get our homestead established up country, one thing that we're going to do, let me get rearranged here, is we're going to have a well, which is going to be helpful. We also have running water on site. We have a small stream. Hopefully that'll continue to run all dry season, and we're also going to use water storage for the garden. So we'll be able to use either well water or river water. Both of those are going to be good for the garden, much better than the city water. Okay, and the last thing we do after planting that is to mark down. I have the sheet that I was able to get from Arbeco Organics, and it's just on their website, and it's really handy to have to track how the different varieties do. And so you know, writing down the cucumber, I'll add the variety, where purchased in southern exposure, the date planted, and then here in a few days I'll mark down when it germinated. Really helpful for tracking how each variety does, especially here where I'm bringing in varieties from outside the country. Even though they're tested successfully in southern states, in subtropical states, you know, we're testing them here, so it's really helpful. These are the ones that I have on nursery now, the different types of tomato and different types of sweet pepper. It looks like I still need to add the varieties on those. And then finally, this is my garden plan. I always find it helpful to map this stuff out so you can see how many plants you can put. Each square here is 1 square foot, and so I can properly space the plants according to how they're supposed to be spaced, and just get the whole place organized. So when it comes to planting, I don't run out of space, or I'm not left with extra space I don't know what to do with. But here it really helps me, in my mind, fully utilize it. And then also I do check the direction with my compass Preferably, I would be running the rows north and south, so each side of every plant will get the morning sun and the afternoon sun, but just because the way the ground is situated here, it's on an angle, but that's not too bad. All right, well, that's it for today's vlog. I want to thank you for joining me. I'm Eric with the African Homestead, and if you could, please click the subscribe button and you'll continue receiving these videos. And if you will, I would appreciate it if you could share this with your friends so they can also have the opportunity to subscribe. And also feel free, if you have any questions, if you have any ideas of things you want to see, feel free to comment below. If you have any ideas on how I can improve my garden, I'm always open to having that conversation. So thanks again, have a great day. But wait, there's more. So my fellow YouTubers, I value your time, and it just occurred to me, why make another video on something that should have been included in this video. And so you can't plant pickling cucumbers without dill. And so I quickly ran back inside. I grabbed my my dill here that I got from Southern Exposure. I prepped a bed real quick. I minted it with a generous amount of compost. This you actually seed very shallow. It says surface. What I did, I just sprinkled it around. I'll thin it later rather than put it into rows, but I sprinkled it around and just raked it in with my fingers and then tamped it down with my hands just so the seed will hold when I water it next. So anyway, just wanted to add that on. Have a great day.